everybody. Welcome back to Connect. I am your host, Andy Hale. I've got a dear friend on today, Kyra Fontenot, badass employment lawyer based in Birmingham, but does work basically all across the country. And I've got so much I want to talk with you about. Welcome to Connect.
Thanks for having me.
You know, we met a while back and we stayed in touch. And I mean, you and I are a perfect example. On this podcast, one of my themes, what I want to talk about today is the power of making a personal connection. Okay. And the way you and I met, if you remember, was I just basically was looking to basically collaborate or partner up potentially with lawyers in other states, and came across your profile. And I thought, this woman looks like somebody I want to get to know. And then I reached out to you and we connected, but then we also connected in person a few times. Mm-hmm. And that really solidified, I think, our connection, because I feel like I have known you a long time.
Well, you
even
have.
Though it's, well, yeah. But so what I want to get into is we've stayed in touch, and I happen to just be scrolling through TikTok, okay? And I came across you. You actually popped up in my feed for some reason. Let me tell you, you are crushing it. I just checked today. You had 25,000 followers, and I think I checked last week and it was like 24,000. So
yeah.
Here's what I want to start with. I've been preaching on here that we're all creators, and you need to create. Put your stuff out there. You are doing that. Tell me what motivated you. What kind of was the nudge you got that said, you know what, I need to do this, and I need to like put myself out there in the universe.
Yeah, so it's actually really funny. I have a really good friend who's also a lawyer. She's a trucking lawyer, and she started first. And, you know, and she was just putting content out about being a mom, about being a lawyer. She also teaches, and so she put content out to help her students in trial ad. And, you know, we were just kind of talking, and she was like, yeah, you got to do it. You got to brand yourself, right? Like, you can't just expect people to know that you're a good lawyer. You got to make people know and like and trust you as well. And one of the ways that she was doing that was doing content. And a couple years ago, she said, hey, why don't you tag along? I'm going to do a content day in Nashville. Tag along. You can do some content. See how you feel. And I was like, all right, I'll do it. And, you know, I don't have anything else to do, right? Like, so we spent a weekend up in Nashville. And that was the first content that I ever made. And a lot of it, actually, some of that content is still out there because we did content together. And she just kind of helped me kind of like find my voice. And, you know, and there's a lot of people out here who will try to sell you stuff and do all that other stuff. But Sarah Williams, she's like one of my best friends in the world, just took me under her wing. And from there, it just kind of, you know, blossomed, because I think I see in my practice, I had always been a networker. Like, I had always gone to events and done those things. But when the pandemic changed, I think a lot of that networking kind of drifted away. You know, people started doing things on Zoom. People weren't meeting each other. And I think content actually was a way for me to actually still reach people when I wasn't reaching them in person.
Well, I think what you've done is, first of all, you are so authentic. I think part of the reason you're so vibrant and authentic. You are yourself. And here's what I can tell. This is what I try to tell people. You have an energy, okay? And so one of the things, I don't know how spiritual you are. I mean, this Connect podcast, I have some episodes that kind of talk about my more spiritual journey and manifestation and things. I'm a big believer in when you're doing what you like, when you're truly aligned and you feel good about who you are and what you're doing, it radiates. You have an energy and an aura. People notice it, they pick up on it. That's what I've always felt about you, especially if you go to look at your TikTok page, all your videos. I got goosebumps right now talking about it. Like you project a warmth and an energy. And I think that comes from the fact that you enjoy what you're doing. How does it make you feel when you record those videos? It just seems to me like you really are enjoying the ride you're on right now.
Yeah. No, honestly, so fun fact, I wanted to be a journalist when I was a kid. So I went all the way, like I actually met like a broadcast journalist at a career, it was like career day at school when I was in fifth grade. And I thought I was going to be a journalist. Like, so I always wanted to write. I wanted to be on TV. And I used to tell people I was either going to be on TV or they would like have me on video on TV for robbing a bank so I could be on TV, And so this is something that I've always kind of like, and I was a theater kid, right? So
Okay.
I like the performance aspect of doing the content. And so for me, this is just sort of a natural part of my personality. And so I enjoy that performance aspect. I don't get that often. And, people think lawyers are in trial all the time. We're not.
Yeah.
And so we
Yeah.
don't get that, like, whatever it is, that adrenaline high that you get from being a performer. And so I think to a certain extent, it is something I naturally gravitate to. So
it's apparent. It's apparent. You had a leg up being a theater kid because I think for a lot of people, and I was kind of in this way when I first started, a couple years back with the podcast and then getting on social media, I was worried about how will it look? How will I be perceived? How many likes am I going to get? What kind of pushback am I going to get? Will somebody leave me a negative comment? And let me tell you something, as I sit here today, I don't care. I don't care. My message to people is put yourself out there. And if you share content that is important to you, that resonates with you, content that you like, that's all that matters. If you're authentic about who you are and what you're sharing, and people can pick up on that. If you're just being yourself, I don't care what your field is, what your area of expertise is, or if you don't even have an area of expertise. I mean, there's a lot of people out there who are just sharing little day-to-day things, and they're interesting. They're interesting people. And I like the positivity, So what I wanted to ask you about, so I'm trying to encourage other people to basically tell their story. What would be your inspiration or kind of words of encouragement to somebody out there? Doesn't have to be a lawyer, could be any kind of person that says, I'm thinking about trying to do this, but I'm nervous. What would your little words of wisdom be?
Do it scared.
That's actually true.
Yeah,
that's true.
Yeah, do it scared. I mean, I don't think I'm any better than anyone else. Like, now, mind you, a lot of the videos that you see are very highly produced. Like when I did that, and I think actually it is a little bit problematic that I did it that way. I came in with a videographer, a makeup artist,
not messing around.
Right. Like a photographer that takes photos and all that stuff. So like the production value, I think, is a little higher than I should have started with. Right. Because I still sit here and think, oh my gosh, I don't know how to put on makeup. If you see me in my real life, like, I don't look like this, I have to make an effort. I have to call people. I have to pay people to do that. And so even for me, I think it was really difficult to kind of, start to do some things that are less produced. And so I'm actually like, that is one of my 2025 goals, is actually to bring down the production value so that it actually looks like who I really am. Mm-hmm. And it's a little grittier and it's a little less produced. Now, still, I've got the light set up. I'm still trying to recreate as good a quality as I can, but I actually think that it's sort of a barrier, like, having it look so produced. And so what I think is people connect with reality. And if they can see a person who looks like them, that acts like them, doing something, they will appreciate that. And, if your sound quality, what I've been told is if your sound quality is good and your video is not super grainy, what you look like doesn't matter. So
you met my podcast producer, Chip, before we started here, and that's what he preaches: the sound quality, the sound quality, the sound quality. I got one of these little like DJI microphones that I kind of just put on my collar, and he was like, doesn't even matter if people can see it. They don't care. It's just, clip it on there. And I also think what I wanted to talk to you about was for lawyers in particular, I feel like lawyers get put in this box that we're not creative, we're kind of boring, We are just all business. And I think what gets overlooked by lawyers who are trying to basically expand their practice, we are human beings, and it all comes down to a connection and a trust. And so what you're doing, for instance, in all your videos are so informative, because in the employment law context, people have so many questions. What are my rights? Can they fire me? Do I have to sign this agreement? Do I have to sign this NDA? How long does it take? I mean, there's so much, it's overwhelming. But I feel like lawyers don't understand that they can tell their story too. And that's what I've been trying to do, because my whole kind of gig is I'm kind of in the true crime world, and I love combining the media with true crime, using the media to tell my true crime stories, using the media to advocate for my clients, talking about Chester Uyghur and the Star Recommenders on my podcast, on my TikTok, doing those things. So I think what you're doing should be a model and an inspiration for a lot of lawyers out there who don't feel like, oh, can I, is a lawyer worthy of telling a story?
Yeah. Well, you know what I think? What people see is most people who are lawyers who are doing, whatever they're doing on TikTok or Instagram, and they're doing it with an express intent to get clients. And I think that shows, right? And so they're not really sharing, right? There's like a tag at the end, that says, hire me, I'm the best lawyer. And like it's not a commercial. And I think if you start to think about this as a connection with an audience, I think it's just different. And so I'm writing that down. That's why we're on the Connect podcast. Thank you. It is, but connecting with an audience. Yes. You're trying to and obviously there may be cases that come out of that, but that is not the goal of you being there. Right. Yeah. I think it is establishing, a lot of times you're doing something that helps people. You can take a pro bono case and, you can help one person. But if you share some nugget with 1,000 people about, I have this one post that's 500,000 views about should you sign? Wow, really? Yeah. Should you sign a PIP? People have all these opinions. What is a PIP? Like a performance improvement plan or a write-up. Should you sign that? Oh, okay. And so many people get caught up at work because they're like, I'm not signing it. It didn't happen. And then they get fired because they don't sign the thing. And it doesn't change anything. But but people are messing that up and getting fired for something they don't have to get fired for. And so and I can go help if 10,000 people see that, right? That one has 500,000, but if 10,000 people see that and one person changes their behavior, that's a job that didn't get lost. I may never know that. I may never hear that, but it will have that effect. Right. And so I think we have as lawyers, we have a duty to educate the community about the law and how it affects them, because a lot of times we're just, people think lawyers are some awful humans lower than scum, or that they don't help people. And you can just throw that little tidbit out and it helps people and it changes the perception of us as lawyers. Yeah. I think what you said earlier, I view life as connecting with people. And what I try to preach on this podcast, one of my messages is, like I said, going back to the power of personal connection, live your day-to-day life connecting with people. I'll give you an example. This morning, a lot of days I go to McDonald's, I go through the drive-in, I get my coffee, okay? I've gotten to know the people that work there, and we're like buddies. We talk, we chat, it's it makes it more fun for me, for all of us, when I come through the drive-thru, it's just hey, what's up? It's it makes my day a little more fuller, enriched, and robust. But when you make those personal connections, everything in life is connections with people, and opportunities come your way from people. It's great. At the very least, you're going to just have a bigger network of friends and people that you like spending time with. But those people that you connect with are also going to be the people that are like, hey, here's an opportunity, and here's an opportunity. And so much of life, you can create these amazing opportunities
by making these connections. And I feel like you and I are the good example of a start of that. I feel like down the road, there's going to be some collaboration between the two of us that we will trace back to this random way I reached out to you a few years ago.
Yeah.
And it hasn't, we haven't done anything together yet, but here we are recording a podcast episode, sharing stories, sharing advice. We've maintained that connection and friendship, and it's just it's enriched both of our lives, So the power of a connection is so huge.
Yeah, I think we don't realize how much we learn from others. And so I am kind of extroverted, but I actually might be a little bit more introverted than I appear. And so it takes work for me to go out and meet people and do those things. But I want to try to create deeper connections with the people that I do meet with. And so what I think about is closing yourself off, right? If you don't put yourself out there, you are closing yourself off from learning from others, from, even commiserating from others. If you're going through a tough time, I've had tough times in my career, it's been the connections that I made with other people that got me through. Mm-hmm. Right.
Even that trucking person you said, that connection is the person that kind of opened your eyes to creating content and kind of telling your story.
Mm-hmm. And the funny part is I have another friend who years and years and years ago, I said, I think this Facebook thing is going to take off. We should probably be making content. And when I say this, I mean 10 years ago. I was this is going to be Facebook is going to take off. You should get on there and become, post to that regularly and create an audience there. Next thing I know, he did it. And he was on CNN because of his Facebook presence. He was going he was contributing and doing all these things. And, we had talked many years, at that. And he was I will tell you everything I do to market my practice because I know 90% of the people will not do it. Will not do it. I can give you the entire playbook of how I make money, and 90% of people will not do it.
Interesting.
And because they're afraid or they think they don't have enough money. But what the internet does, what TikTok, Instagram, all that, it's free.
I know. God, you know what? There's a guy that I love following is Gary Vee. He's been around for 20 years. I first read some of his books, Crush It, way back when this came out. His thing now is internet is free. Mm-hmm. He's back in my day, you had to take out a billboard. You had to go door to door. You had to create a brochure. Everything costs money. Now, all these platforms, they're free. Mm-hmm. And you can just put your content out there and tell your story. It's incredible. There's another thing you said about, not wanting to have a sales pitch to kind of just do something. I've got this book here. I always refer to it. The Creative Act, A Way of Being by Rick Rubin. Rick Rubin was the famous music producer. He's worked with so many people. This book I've been talking about is so good. And I've seen a lot of Rick Rubin TikToks. And what he talks about is the audience comes last. And what he means by that is your content, when you're creating, so you're creating whatever you're creating, whether it's music, content, whatever it is, you're writing a screenplay, you're telling a story on TikTok, tell your story authentically the way it feels best to you. And don't change anything because, will the audience like this? Will the audience like that? I'm pandering to the audience. I'm doing this for the audience. No, I'm not doing it for the audience. I'm doing it because I want to share something. I want to share something that's kind of passionate to me, or I think is important. And when you do that, and he said the audience comes last, that's the purest form you can put out there and the most authentic version of you. And that'll be the most powerful version of you.
Yeah. I think what it is too is you got a lot of stuff going on in your head, and some of it may be crazy, but that there is also stuff in your head that resonates with other people, but you don't know that.
Yeah.
You don't know what other people think is good, right? There isn't a formula for people liking things. The posts that have done the best for me, I'm who cares? I literally had no idea that recording your employer and whether you should sign a write-up are super hot topics, like
Boom.
who knew?
Yeah.
Like when I recorded those videos, I did not think that was what people were interested in. Didn't at all.
So you don't know. You didn't know.
No clue. No clue. But we got, I got a, goal of putting out 20 pieces of content a month, like small videos.
Is that your goal?
20 to 25. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So
and when you say 20 to 25 of small content a month, first of all, tell me what you define small content and tell me where you want to put those out at.
So I am actually on YouTube, LinkedIn, TikTok, and Instagram, and it does post through to Facebook, but we don't pay attention to Facebook. Only my family sees my Facebook. And so I put the content out, and usually my pieces are between 30 seconds and 3 minutes. And so what I do, and, I have a content day every month, and I bring the team in, we video, I change clothes, they change my makeup, and I will like film 5 to 6 pieces in one outfit. And then we'll change the setup, and I'll do 5 or 6 more until I have all I need for the month. And then I send it to my editor, and my editor puts all the beautiful stuff on it that you see. I am not sitting there with my phone making graphics. It's not my skill set. And so I send it off to my editor, and my editor does schedules it out for the month.
Yeah. So go ahead.
What I'm trying to do, the addition is, in addition to that one content day, to now do impromptu things throughout the week, which means now I won't have that studio. I won't have the team. I will get in and do something like this. So
I love it. And, the thing about that, first of all, I think it's best to kind of maybe do what you're doing is to have both, because the professional content looks professional. It's impressive. And that one day of content day, will that give you the content for the entire month?
Yeah.
Wow. Mm-hmm. So here's another thing I noticed on TikTok. So a lot of the topics that I like are, manifestation, your vibe, your energy. And several of the people that I have enjoyed what they have to say are recording this in their car. Like, I'm like, gosh, I really like this woman. I go to their feed. I go to her TikTok feed. And there's a woman I just saw recently. She had like 50 or 60,000 TikTok followers. And all her videos, when I went to her page, they're all in her car. Okay. I don't know why she chose this, but it didn't bother me in the least. She's sitting in her car, and then I noticed the car's not moving. She's just sitting there saying, hey, let me tell you something. If you're getting stressed out, you got to just release that thought and whatever. So my point is, for anybody out there, don't be scared off if you don't have a budget. All you need is a phone to take a video and to post it.
Yeah.
And you can start today. Today is day one. And I also think I want to get better at doing a little more frequency, because I think as you post, you kind of get better at how to tell your story and not waste time and, get to the point. And people have very short attention spans. There can't be a long wind up because people are scrolling through this so quickly. But my point is, anybody can do it. And I don't care if you are an employment lawyer, you are a painter, you are a baker, you are an organic beekeeper. There's an audience for you. I mean, I saw some TikToks, there's a couple, these are true stories, that I liked. One was a guy, probably 75 years old, telling you how to microwave corn on the cob, okay? How long to do it, how to do it. I saw another woman, probably same age, telling you how to carve a pumpkin, which was basically carve the bottom off and set it down on it, like after you carve the bottom off. And these had tons of views, okay? I don't think people realize how, if you're just yourself, there's an interesting component to you. Everybody's got a unique voice. We're all different. And I don't want anybody to think like, I don't have any story to tell. Yes, you do. Yes, you do. So what do you think about that concept?
Yeah, I honestly think that maybe, I don't know if it's whatever the algorithms do to your brain. I think, but I do think we are probably interested in more mundane things than most people think.
Yeah.
And I think it is because people are looking for connection. They're looking for people who feel or say or are doing the same things they are. It because there's a resonation between how they view themselves and the person they see on the screen. And so, yeah, I mean, I think it's inherently limiting to downplay yourself as a unique individual being interesting, right? Like, because I just think that I've very rarely had a conversation with a person who I couldn't find something that was interesting about them.
Yeah.
If you're inquisitive and if you're curious. And there's also a person for everyone. Like I have one lawyer who works for me and she's into Dungeons and Dragons, right?
There you go. There you go. Huge audience for that, right?
I don't know anything about Dungeons and Dragons.
Me either.
So like when we sit at lunch and she's telling me about this and she's like explaining how the game works and stuff, like I'm rapt attention because it's not something I was exposed to.
She's an expert in that.
Right. And so, and because I'm not exposed to that and I'm curious about what makes people tick and what they're interested in, I will sit there and watch and listen to her explain about how that works, you know? And so I think a lot of people just, and I don't want to call it like, you know, you down talk themselves, but, or just maybe don't give themselves the credit for being an individual that, you know, other people would be interested in. And that could be societal, right? Like people have to say like, you're not you're not better than anyone else or and then, so we're giving ourselves less credit for being interesting. But I think we shortchange ourselves.
We do. And I think I'm just trying to inspire and motivate people that we all have a story to tell and be yourself and connect with people. And I do think the one thing we talked about earlier, you said, you talked about like with COVID, I think it's, remote's been a blessing and a curse. There's definitely benefits. I work remote most of the time. I don't miss the commute at all. It almost seems crazy to me that I was taking a train downtown Chicago every day at like 7:20 in the morning. But what we're missing out, and so I'll give you an example. My daughter's a first-year lawyer at our law firm. She has never seen in her life, and she will not see in her life probably, what the office used to look like. Mm-hmm. A robust office, hustling, bustling. Somebody pops in your office, gives you an assignment, kind of impromptu. You have a question about something you're working on. You pop in that person's office, ask a quick question about something you were, not unsure about. You're going to lunch with your colleagues. You're going to happy hour with your colleagues. You're commiserating with your colleagues. We're losing that personal connection, which I think is unfortunate. So I'm still trying to encourage people when they can to connect face to face if you can.
Yeah. And, I am also home office till you die. We are in my home office right now. But I think it's because I have been practicing for 20 years and I'm not sure that I need as much coaching and development as another lawyer in my office. But now that I have lawyers who report to me, they are actually driving the return to office. So we actually have a physical office space and, I'm the one who's at home the most. That's the way it is with me too. Yeah. And so I now start to feel bad about it. So I'm like, all right, I will come to work, 2 to 3 times a week so that they have that. Because I have a 2nd-year lawyer and a 6-year lawyer who are working with, and they need that guidance. And law is a communal sport.
Yeah.
It is not, a team sport, I guess. It is not something that you will look at and learn by reading the cases. I understand where the cases inform what we do, but how it works in practice is taught from lawyer to lawyer. And I think as older lawyers or more tenured lawyers, I think have to give that to our younger lawyers. They need that development. How lawyers used to be made is that you sat next to another lawyer and they practiced and you learned to be a lawyer by watching another lawyer. We still have to do that.
Yeah. I think that's so true. And I think I try if I can, if I have some kind of important meeting, whether it's with an expert or whether it's with a client or whether it's with a contact or if I can, I try to do it in person for something that's kind of important. I try to do it in person, and I've told a story in this podcast earlier where through kind of the content I was creating and some of the people I met, I was able to get an agent, this guy named Scott Kaufman. He's based in New York, and he's great. And we were going to set up a Zoom call to talk about, my projects and the kind of things and what I wanted to kind of, my vision was. And I said, you know what? Let me fly out there and let's meet face to face. And I flew out to New York, and we met for dinner and drinks. And I tell you what, in those 3 hours, we bonded, and he got to know who I was. We could have done that on Zoom, and, it would have been fine. It would have been, but the face to face was so much better and so much stronger. So I'm still trying to encourage people, when they can, take opportunities to connect with people in person.
And take people with you. Right?
Yes.
Yes. I think it's incredibly helpful for my young lawyers to go and see how it's done, especially as I'm the first lawyer in my family.
Me too.
And, and I don't have like a natural person in my family who I can say, oh, this is how you do it. Right. Like, I'm hoping my daughter will become a lawyer so I can be like, here, it's easy, do this. Right.
Yeah.
But I don't have that. And so a lot of the people that work for me, because I like scrappy folks, also are first gen lawyers. And so I find that they don't know how to navigate spaces, right? That I've already had to figure out the hard way how to navigate. And so like bringing another person, just like Sarah brought me to do her content, bringing a younger lawyer or someone else in on these things so that it's demystified for them how these things work and what they need to do to be successful. And so, and I just think that, we miss out on connections, but we also can be missing out on the opportunity to help somebody who didn't have the benefit of, a background where everybody in their family was a lawyer. And this is how you make money, and this is how you build a practice. And, I've been trying to get my young lawyers to do what I'm doing. And I said, you may leave here one day, and I'm okay with that. But while you're here, I want you to build a name, right?
Yeah.
For yourself.
Build and grow, right?
It will help me.
The better you get, the better we all get.
And I'm going to help you. I'm going to spend money to help you get to where you need to go. And hopefully, because I spent that money and you trust me and I'm helping you, you'll want to stay. But if not, that's fine. Get out there, learn, grow, be the best lawyer you can be. And I can be like, well, you came through the Chirofontenot training program.
let me tell you, Chirofontenot, you got the best energy. It is contagious. I love everything about the way you are and the way you are just present yourself. Last topic before we go, I want to talk about, there's a book I've been preaching about in this podcast. It's called Abundant Ever After by this woman, Kathy Heller. She talks about manifestation, living your most aligned life. But one of the things she talks about is be audacious. Be audacious and set your goals high. She said in that book, oftentimes when I'm coaching people or meeting with people and I ask them what they want, they pause. They don't know. They don't even know what they want. They really haven't thought about it, or they're afraid to really say what they want, okay? So I'm going to put you on the spot here. I want you to be audacious. I'm going to go first. I actually just did a podcast episode about this. I recorded it a couple days ago. It'll be out in a couple weeks. Here, I'm going to be audacious with you right now. These are my 2 audacious goals, and I'm saying this dead serious. I'm putting this out there to the universe. So I've got this whole other podcast called The Starved Rock Murders. I have this client, Chester Weger. He's 86 years old. He spent over 60 years in prison, and I'm trying to prove his innocence, and I'm getting close. I've got a big evidentiary hearing coming up May 12th. The final step. It's going to be a mini trial. So I'm so excited about that. But here's the thing. I've been filming content with him. Me at his house for Christmas. I was just at his house for his birthday on March 3rd. Eating ice cream on the front porch. Maybe we're outside of court. And I've been filming this. And I thought, I think I'll put it on maybe my YouTube page or maybe my website. And then I thought, no, I'm not playing small anymore. You know what I want? And I'm dead serious. I'm putting this out to the universe. I want to win an Academy Award. I want it. The short category is 40 minutes or less. Okay. My topic is heavy. I mean, the longest wrongful conviction in U.S. history. That's a Oscar-worthy topic. And I've got a professional staff working me, Chip, my podcast producer included. So the content's going to look good. And I'm like, you know what? No, I want to win an Academy Award. An Academy Award short documentary category. That's my first one. My second audacious goal is I want to do a scripted version of the Chester Uyghur story. So a theatrical movie with actors. And you know what I want? I want Timothy Chalamet. Timothy Chalamet to play Chester Uyghur. I just did a TikTok video about this. It was so fun recording. I said, Timothy Chalamet, I've got the Oscar-winning role for you. I said, I don't know how we're going to meet. I don't know how we're going to connect. The universe will take care of the how. We're going to meet somehow. So that's my attitude. And I feel that. I'm not just saying that like hollow. I am feeling that like, man, let's make this happen. So I'm going to put you on the spot here. I want you to give me an audacious goal for Kyra Fontenot. Give me one that you can think of.
Wow, that's crazy, right? Do you remember our old goal? You've forgotten our old goal.
What was our old goal?
Well, it's not that. We were supposed to get a private jet, remember?
Oh, TJ. Yeah. Yeah, that's still high on my list.
We were supposed to get a private jet, but
I think I do remember that. Yes.
Wait, I don't have my private jet yet. It's been like 4 years. I need to get moving on that.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that was sort of tongue in cheek.
I'll take my PJ out to Birmingham tomorrow to see you. So
exactly.
Just tell me when.
Exactly. All right. So that's a good question. So I've just embarked on a new firm, and so I think are we just doing 20? It's not 2025, so we can go as
no. It can be. There's no time limit on it. It can be whenever you want.
Yeah. So, funny enough, I like the idea of doing a documentary too. I think, honestly, if I had my druthers, I probably would be doing less lawyering and more creation. So I like the idea.
That's going to come. Mm-hmm. That's going to come. You're on that path. That path.
So I think it would be something more like, dropping something that's more creative and moving into the creative space a little bit more than I do currently. I don't know how that would work, whether I would get rid of being a lawyer altogether. But absolutely, I don't know that I would call myself a full-time content creator, but I definitely think I would be using more of my creativity and creation.
So what would be a big goal? Like, what would you want to create? What kind, like a documentary about like a certain topic or what?
Yeah. So, the first documentary topic would kind of be about public defense. You didn't mention my other career, well, my other part of my legal career, which was creating the public defender's office in Jefferson County, and what that was like and what it is like for people going through the criminal legal system. And so I think,
well, I tell you what, let me pause you there. There's a great documentary out that was out several years ago called Gideon's Army.
Yeah.
Have you seen that?
Yeah, no, because I know rap, like the guy who.
Okay.
Yeah. Rap
and that is no reason. That's like, the fact that that's done means nothing in terms of what you're talking about. I don't want anybody to think like, oh, they've already been done. No, there's always a different version or vibe for some new project. So that's kind of in your wheelhouse.
Yeah. So actually, I went to the premiere of Gideon's Army.
Really? Because I love that movie.
I met the director at one point, and she actually was looking at doing a project with our office because we were creating the office at that time. Lots happened since then. She's gone on to do some other really cool things. Rap, of course, won a MacArthur Genius Award. And so that, and I also made some connections through rap again of another MacArthur Genius named Raj Jayadev, who's out in California. And he does day in the life videos for sentencing.
Really?
So you know how people will do the day in the life videos for medical stuff and, this is how harm I've been. No, instead, he's created a project called Silicon Valley Debug. And what they do is they go into the family member and they go talk to the person and they create this really great package that you can use at sentencing to advocate for the person who's involved in the criminal legal system to say, this is why you shouldn't just throw this person away. Don't put them in prison.
That is a genius idea.
And so, part of, I think, what I think is highlighting, what is like for a person in the criminal legal system, and what is it like for the people who are trying to advocate for those people? How are they treated? What does that happen? And I think the story of what happened to us in Jefferson County is kind of illustrative of how the system kind of folds in on people trying to make it more even. So I think that would be like a topic of a documentary that I could do. I'm dropping a podcast this week.
Nice.
Yeah, next
really?
week. Yeah, next week. My friends.
You waited till now to tell us that?
Well, my friend Sarah and I we did some content a couple years ago that was really well received, and we was like, oh, we're going to do a podcast. So first 8 episodes begin dropping on March 21st.
What's it about?
So it's about being a lawyer, being a woman of color, navigating this space. It's not really about the law, much more about like what our lives are like.
What's it called?
Feminine and Formidable. So we will be.
Wow, I love that.
Yeah, so
fantastic.
We'll be dropping that. And
when? When's it coming out?
First episode, Friday, March 21st. So I don't know when this is going to air, so it may be before or after. But
this will probably air after that comes out.
Yeah, so it'll already be out.
Wow.
But yeah, and that was really just us saying, okay, we're going to do it. We're just going to get out here.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I love. Just do it. Yeah. Do it.
We got a producer. We're going to do this. We got video. We got all this stuff. And it's like, hey, no one listens to it. No one listens to it. No one watches it. No one watches it.
You're going to feel good doing it. You're going to enjoy doing it. And that's my message, Kyra. That's my message. Create. Put it out there. Put it out there. And you know what? You're going to like doing it because you're going to be talking about whatever feels good to you. And I think great things are going to happen. Let me just step in for you. I want you to get a little more specific. Not right now, but like I can see you. If somebody said to me, "Where do you see Kyra Fontenot in 3 years?" I'm going to say, Kyra Fontenot is nationally known. She's on the short list for any huge employment matter. If you've got a huge anchor for ABC News or Good Morning America that got fired or got sexually harassed, Kyra Fontenot is who you're calling first. And if she's not your first call, if you're interviewing a couple lawyers, she's in the list. She's like this badass lawyer. She's nationally known. She walks down the street. Everybody knows who she is. And she's creating content about her life. She's very much into social justice. She's creating she's like a Ava DuVernay, She's got her own little production house and she's telling stories she wants to tell. That's where I see you going. And
I hope so.
To be continued. But I want you to start, I want to start hearing, next time I'll have you on again, start imagining what the next chapter looks like specifically. Like kind of think about what that would look like, Because I think a lot of times people don't go there. They don't really they don't spend the time to visualize what would it look like. What would it feel like? And so I think the best way to get there and to get there the quickest is A, declare what you want, declare it, say it, release it, and feel it. And feel it and feel good about it. So when I'm saying this, I've been talking about this just recently, this Timothy Chalamet playing Chester Weaker, this Oscar. I just, I feel it, and I'm just going to put it out there, and I'm going to visualize it, and let's see where it goes. Yeah. So I want to have you report back at some point, and we'll compare notes.
I'm going to hold you to Timothy Chalamet. Now, all I hear is Adam Sandler saying Timothy Chalamet.
Yeah, exactly.
So I'm going to hold you to it. I actually think it's really doable, right? Like I do too. I do too. What I've learned in this process of starting to create content and working with videographers and working with people is that really you just need to film it.
Yeah.
You just got to film
and here's the thing. If I was an actor, especially a young actor, the roles that would appeal to me are these roles that are unique, where I think a lot of times the roles that go to an Oscar winner, they have a very unique character. It's not just a person, but it's a person who's very unique and going through a certain kind of struggle. You've got this 21-year-old dishwasher, dirt poor, no running water, and they hounded this guy for months. He didn't break. They hounded this guy for like 6 months. He withstood it all until finally they arrested him without probable cause, charged him with the murders, told him he was going to die on the electric chair, finally confessed. As soon as he got appointed a public defender, he recanted, had a trial, advocated for himself, testified in his own defense, and is still advocating for himself. If I'm Timothy Chalamet, I got goosebumps telling this. I would be like, hell yes. I want to tell this story. It's a true story, for one. It's got a message, for two. And man, you can sink your teeth into it. I just picture one day, I get a call, hey, Andy Hale. Hey, it's Timothy Chalamet. Like, get out of here. And somebody showing him like a TikTok video. Hey, Timothy, have you seen this? There's this lawyer who's pitching this role for you. Like, go to I'll text you when we get off this podcast, the TikTok video I released. Oh my God, it was so fun making it. So anyway, Kyra Fontenot, you're amazing. I love your energy. You are an example of what I've been preaching. Radiate. You radiate. That's what you do. You go through life radiating. It's contagious. I can feel it. I know you got big things ahead of you. I'm going to follow your journey. Let's stay in touch.
All right. Well, I'm going to get my jet and then I'll call back.
Absolutely. To be continued.
Good to see you.